Hi, this is Little Wolf playing games while rambling incoherently into the microphone. Why? Well, just because I can. This will probably be either the last or the second to last episode of
Hey,
episode 2,
Dr. Freeman, over here.
depending on how the
Taking
battle
a few
will
liberties
go.
with your car. Check it out. I added a rack for Magnuson devices back here. I tweaked your onboard radar so the combines show up red on the dashboard unit now. Plus, it'll send a homing signal to your HEV suit in case you get separated from your car. No need to thank me.
I
Now
won't
check this
because
map.
Gordon can't speak, so that would be difficult.
We're right here at the south end of the valley. Rest of the gang's up north by the old sawmill, here. Head on up there, and they'll fill you in on the battle plan. I'll be staying here to watch the field and send status updates. Good luck.
We wanted players to use the car as much as possible, both to move around the valley quickly and to run over the hunters as a quick and satisfying way of killing them. To encourage this, and to help with orientation problems, we added radar to the car, which indicated the location of enemies. This made the car a more valuable tool in the battle and solved the navigation problem once and for all.
One problem we faced in this map was that players would abandon their car in the heat of battle and not be able to find it later. Given the time pressure and large scale of the map, some of these players couldn't succeed in protecting the base on foot. To address this, we started by adding flashing hazard lights to the car, which helped when the car was in view, but we still saw players lose the car among the trees or behind hills. Eventually, we added a vehicle locator to the player's HEV suit, so players could find the car wherever.
Perimeter's clear. Still no sign of incursion. Keep alert.
The massive Strider battle was in production longer than any other map in the episode. Tuning it required many months of testing and iteration to address playtester feedback, and this was complicated by the fact that every time we playtested, we saw individuals adopt completely different approaches to defeating the Striders. Some threw logs at the hunters, others relied on their rebel companions to kill them. Some players never sprinted, while others never used the car. We tried to keep supporting all the different strategies that occurred to players so that their experiments with tactics would be rewarding rather than frustrating. Meanwhile, we had to make sure the Strider and Hunter behaviors were consistent and balance the experience so that it would be great for all different playstyles at every skill level.
A great deal of work went into making sure players would see the buildings get destroyed as they travel around the valley in the final battle. While we cannot and do not wish to force the player to see these events, we tried to increase the odds that the player would end up in the best possible position for the show. Measures ranged from simply hiding a Strider behind rocks to setting up complex logic conditions that must be met in order for the destruction to occur.
Episode 2's rocket defense battle was the largest and most non-linear combat experience we had built. It was also the first combat we created that required the use of a vehicle to move from battle to battle. Our design goal was to give players a broad directive, protect the rocket from incoming Striders, and let them decide how to accomplish that. Playtesting revealed a number of challenges that we had to overcome, as the free-form nature of the map led to huge variation in success for different players. Small differences in skill or tactics radically changed the difficulty of the experience for players. In response, we had to continually tune all aspects of the experience to support the wide variety of tactics and skill levels demonstrated in
So,
playtests.
they've sent Freeman, have they? Good man. We've counted a dozen Striders just north of us. Our job is to keep them from reaching the base to the south. If they get close enough for one good shot at the silo, the whole launch is a bust. And in case Striders aren't bad enough, recon indicates they're being escorted by packs of hunters. Now, what I want you to do...
Attention!
Uh-oh.
North perimeter breach.
All right, people, this is it.
We have a Strider approaching from the cranes.
Defensive positions, go!
Okay.
Oh boy, here we go. Everyone ready? We need to stop him here. Remember, keep him distracted while Freeman takes him down. Oh man, this is gonna be bad. Hey, stay focused!
Are the hunters shooting it down? I really think I made contact, so it's kind of weird that I really think the striders, I mean the hunters, are somehow yeah. Oh, damn it. Okay, that wasn't
What I want you to do.
Attention.
wasn't a good first attempt
North perimeter breach.
at all.
We have a strider approaching from the cranes.
But at least now, once I'm certain that
Oh boy, here we go.
the hunters interfere with the...
Stop him here. Remember, keep him distracted while Freeman takes him down. Oh man, this is gonna be bad.
Okay. Maybe now I will be able to... Okay. One of them down at least.
Strider at the sawmill.
Keep an eye on Freeman.
Keep an eye out. It looks like hunters are traveling
Many
with the
players had a
striders.
hard
They're
time
working in
orienting
packs.
themselves in the valley. Before the fight, we send players to the sawmill without telling them how to get there. This was a way of familiarizing them with the map without any time pressure.
Now we have a strider
Still,
coming
the
in from
size and
water
nonlinearity
tower.
of the map was confusing for first-time players once
Okay,
the battle
well-
began. The loudspeaker announcements that direct players to incoming striders initially referred to
miracle
compass
that gets out of
directions,
this.
which most players couldn't follow because they couldn't remember which way was north. We added White Forest Peak as a global landmark and distinctive local landmarks like the cranes and the water tower, and referred to those landmarks in the announcements instead of compass directions. This helped, but some players still had a hard time knowing which way to go at any given moment. Our ultimate solution was the car's radar, which, along with the landmarks, helps players go where the action is.
Okay. Exactly work.
Strider coming from the crane.
Okay, it's getting a little crowded in here, to be honest. Although... At least I had an energy ball for destroying them. Oh, for God's sake. Because basically I need to destroy the hunters first to avoid them screwing with my magnus. I'm afraid I might be a little too late with both of them so close to the silo. Basically, if they get at least one shot,
Alert! There's a strider getting close to the base.
you're toast. Okay, there is another one incoming over there. Let me save first. activated the... Maybe I don't think I hit it. I'll drive a little closer. Okay. Save.
Keep up the good work. Only a few striders left.
I will try to explore the various comments at the end.
Another
Do
strider
not
coming
get
towards the sawmill.
Invincibility unfair advantage now. Okay, other hunters? Yeah, there are.
Now we have a strider coming in from the water tower.
Damn it. Okay, that was a little...
Keep up the good work. Only a few striders left. Another strider coming towards the sawmill.
Save. I'll try to...
Strider coming in from the water tower.
Or another. Okay, that didn't exactly work best. I think I should... Damn it.
Now we have a strider coming in from the water tower.
Well, I guess I can just try to run them over. Okay, now quickly. Okay, because the striders can actually destroy the various buildings around the place, along with
Strider
the
has been spotted by the cranes.
You know what? Along with the Magnusson device ports, so that makes your job a little more difficult because you get fewer access points to it. Okay, that didn't exactly work the way I wanted it to. I'm afraid I'm kind of dead.
A strider has been spotted by the cranes.
Okay, this one seems to be on its own, but damn it, I didn't bring a... one with me.
I got away with those Magnusons.
Save. Then I'll try to run over the hunters. Accompanying it. The only thing I managed to do is to mortally wound myself. They actually dodge out of the way in quite a cool manner. I guess this will require a little more travel. Actually try to that funnily enough was actually quite helpful. I will try to destroy the third one with the quick throw of a log, and then the strider should be defenseless. Oh, it's cool. They actually kind of targeted too. Okay, I really need some supplies.
Take this med kit.
I will bring this one with me. Save.
Another strider from the water tower.
Okay. Save. Where is the other? Okay, I'm in a bit of a deep predicament here. Maybe this has potential to work if I... Okay, now we need to get to some supplies. and rather quickly at that.
Looks like that was the last one. Wait a minute. Get ready, everyone. We've spotted drop ships carrying even more striders. We have about a minute before they hit, so gear up. This is gonna get ugly before it's over.
Save. Save.
We have a strider coming in from the cranes. Now there's one at the sawmill.
Yeah, it has.
Everywhere. Strider spotted at the water tower.
Okay. This one's out. Save. Save. I will grab one on the go. Okay, where is the other? This hunter seems to be back, to be honest.
Heads up, people. We are not done yet. Another strider was just spotted at the sawmill.
Oh, for God's sake.
One more at the crane.
Okay, that was underwhelming, to say the least. As was that. Okay, that went decently enough. Now, damn it, I seem to have lost my accent, but maybe I can grab one from here before it manages to destroy the
Heads up,
building.
people. We are not done yet. Another.
Ah, damn it. Okay, so basically one forward and one on the right and one on the left. One. Save. Just in case. Though I have rather low health, but I hope this is one of the last ones. Okay, so now I can...
Attention! The Striders have been defeated! All personnel return to base immediately! Repeat! All personnel return to base immediately!
I can sightsee a little and access all of the various commentary notes. Of course I blocked myself again.
We made some small changes to our autosave system as a result of tuning the final Strider battle. Autosaves are the periodic checkpoints where we can restart the player's game after death so that they don't have to worry about replaying more of the game than necessary. In playtests, we observed that most players depended on our autosaves to restart after dying, rather than using their own quick saves. But because the fight allowed players so much freedom, some players ended up with an autosave that left them in a no-win situation. Low on health and pinned down by hunters, or too far from the base to defend the rocket in time, some players failed 30 or more times before finally giving up. To address the no-win situation, we extended our autosave system to monitor health over time and to only perform the autosave if the player was deemed safe for a reasonable period of time. We also prohibited autosaves when Striders were within a certain distance of the base.
Sort of complicated.
This ensured there was always enough time to defeat them.
To create a climactic finish to this level, we ramped up Strider density and citizen presence, and then systematically destroyed outer installations in order to move the action as comfortably close to the base as possible. It was important to us that everybody be able to play to the end of the episode, but we also wanted them to feel that defeating the Striders required a heroic effort. A balance had to be achieved between the feeling of being overwhelmed and the possibility of completing the level. We made many trade-offs to keep the experience enjoyable while keeping the intensity high, and sometimes this required removing enemies. For example, elite Combine soldiers originally took part in this invasion, running in and around the Striders and Hunters, but this additional level of enemy fire proved frustrating for players, and so they were removed.
Before we create any final arc, we use placeholders to see if the gameplay is there were soldiers actually taking place in the battle, along with some more rebels maybe. Model as the placeholder for the Magnuson. You know, it would be more of a field battle model was created using the pumpkin as opposed to a quote-unquote artillery battle in which the main set pieces sort of are Striders and the Magnuson devices.
The Hunter's escort behavior includes specific formations and flanking strategies. This environment was designed specifically to enhance those behaviors by providing cover and visually interesting paths. In this way, the environment reinforces the design of the Hunter as stealthy, aggressive, and intelligent.
Okay, I think that's all of them. So let us return to the base. completely conclude the game, so quite a lot will happen before that. Not in the terms of action, as in gameplay, but in terms of story. Okay, I got this one. Okay, I think that's all. All of them.
Hey, Gordon Freeman. Good job, Gordon. Wow. Thanks, Freeman.
Nothing to say.
Thanks for clearing out the yard, Freeman. Heck of a job.
Wow, Gordon. You were amazing out there. Come on. Is in its final stages. The portal's close to opening, but Dr. Magnuson sure will be in time to stop it.
Complete. Tracking beacon. Oh, there's another bit of cruft we can ignore. Support equipment powered down. Hold on a moment, Climber. Ah, Freeman. Well, I see the Magnuson device performed flawlessly. I feel compelled to thank you personally for saving my rocket. So, thank you. Well, that's enough chit-chat. I've got a rocket to launch.
Wow. For a minute there, I thought you were going to get a hug.
Powered and ready. Check.
Let's go to the control room. We can get a great view of the launch from there.
Did you do that? What? This one? Flight termination system check leads with backup range safety sites? Oh, that must be an ancient entry. There are no backup sites. If we fail, the best we can hope is that the rocket falls on the enemy. Now, inertial navigation systems. Safety test of FTS. Completed.
Well, here we are again.
Ground and high altitude wind. Well, the precision of those readings is not to my liking, but we'll have to make do with what we have. Guidance, computer voltages, and
It constantly amazes me how many people are involved in creating her, because everyone who's involved seems to have the same vision for her. And for so many people to have one mind about a character, it blows my mind. I mean, very rarely do I get a piece of direction or script that doesn't ring true to how I feel about Alex, and vice versa. And strangely enough, as soon as I try something out and something doesn't ring true, I'm usually not the first person to say it. Even though I might be feeling it, somebody else will say it. And it's just, I guess, a testament to how in tune everybody is about what kind of person Alex is, and what she would do, what she wouldn't do, and, you know, what kind of girl she is. While you were out having fun, I found an old helicopter that I was able to get working. I've got it all packed up and ready to go. Never a dull moment, huh?
Oh, I think this is an addition as well. Some duct tape on and although I'm not 100% sure about that.
We're back!
Gordon. Hell of a job you did out there, son.
let's not forget that with the Magnuson device, those striders practically destroy themselves.
Yes. Well, I think perhaps Gordon had something to do with their success.
I suggest we adjourn this meeting of the Mutual Admiration Society until after we have launched our rocket. Now, I believe we're ready to start the auto sequence.
I believe Gordon should have the honor.
You'll hear no objection from me.
It's all yours, Gordon.
Lunch. Okay then.
Go on, push the button, Gordon.
Silo doors open. Stations, everyone.
Kind of reminiscent of the scene from the first Half-Life.
Power to main thrusters.
10, 9,
We're launching.
8, 7, 6, 5,
Steady.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah!
We did it!
We sure did.
Control myself.
Yes!
Fantastic.
Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Now it is still too early to celebrate. We need to reach altitude and transmit the signal.
Too right. The clock is ticking.
We couldn't have cut it any closer if that was our intention.
It is going to work, right?
It has to.
Once the rocket is in range of the portal, we'll be able to switch on the xenium resonator.
Well, let's get outside. I'd like a better view of the fireworks.
There should be quite a show. Regrettably, I can't come out with you. Magnuson and I will need to keep a close eye on the rocket's trajectory.
Aren't you going to see us off?
Just as soon as this is wrapped up. I wouldn't dream of letting you go without a proper goodbye.
Okay, I'll hold you to that. You too, Dr. Magnuson.
Indeed.
We'll catch up with you in a moment, sweetheart. Gordon, hold up a
Oh,
second.
damn it,
The more I think about that warning from our friend, the more I'm convinced it has to do with Borealis. Don't be deceived. That ship must never be used. You have got to destroy it, whatever the cost.
Where are you two? You're going to miss it.
Be right there, Alex. Gordon, thanks for everything you've done for Alex, for all of us. I couldn't be prouder if you were my own son. Now, when you get back, we've got a lot to talk about.
Come on!
Alex,
Dear
look
God,
at the
this
portal.
has to work.
We've activated the resonator. This is it!
Oh,
My goodness!
yes!
Neutralized!
We did it! We did it, Gordon!
We sure as hell did, and not a moment too soon.
I'll bet the Combine aren't too happy right now.
You got that right, sweetheart. But we've got plenty to celebrate. I wish you didn't have to head off so soon. If only it weren't so critical.
It's okay, Dad. We'll find Judith and bring her back. Dog? Hey, where are you? What a nut. Don't go too far.
Episode 2's backgrounds or vistas are created in a manner that fuses traditional 2D animation techniques, using linear cards moving against each other to imply parallax, and a modern digital take which involves placing these cards in a 3D environment and manipulating their size and distance from camera depending on the scale needed. A series of cards can sit in front of a 3D skybox, and with the addition of atmosphere or fog, a realistic result can be achieved.
I think I am missing some dialogue here.
Come on, Gordon. The chopper's waiting for us.
Damn it. I didn't do it in the best possible way.
Developing the Half-Life episodes allows us to steadily flesh out the details in an ongoing cosmic struggle. Most of this conflict remains far in the background, but little by little we are able to bring new elements up front. One of our goals for Episode 2 was to fully develop the grub-like advisors, first glimpsed in Half-Life 2. In Episode 1, they make several brief appearances but have no direct effect on the events in the game. In Episode 2, we deliberated on how soon to show them becoming active and decided to pull back the veil in stages. Therefore, we first see them being hauled around by Combine troops, completely passive. Next, we see one waking up from incubation, still somewhat groggy, and beginning to discover its power. But by the end of the episode, the advisors come fully into their own, front and center, as characters with a huge impact on the story.
To create the Eli death sequence, we talked it through in great detail.
Spoiler,
wrote up an
I guess.
outline with all the events we discussed, and then produced an animatic. We used rough sketches painted over screenshots and a variety of crude special effects and sounds to create a quick pre-visualization of how the scene would play out. Not only did this help us to converge on a shared vision for the scene, but by working rough, we were able to quickly iterate until we had a design worth implementing in the game.
The decision to kill Eli was not made lightly, and once we'd made it, we had to figure out how to make it meaningful. We'd already established Eli's frailty as well as his importance to the Resistance and Alex's devotion to him, so from a narrative point of view, the impact of his death seemed obvious. The hard part would be the execution. The advisor's ability to immobilize the player gave us a way to stage the scene. Then the animations and the sound design made it believable. But none of this would have been enough without inspired performances by Merle Dandridge and Robert Guillaume.
This final episode 2 scene was unbelievable. Before we even started working on it, the team sat me down and they kind of did a little show and tell of the rough animation that they had. And I think they were hesitant to show it to me, but just from that rough animation, I was so moved. I mean, just immediately moved to tears. I felt like I'd just been gut punched, and I immediately felt it. And I was like, let's go. Let's get on this. So it shouldn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise me by now, because I've been working on Alex for so long now. But every time we come to the table to do a new scene or lay down some new material, I am always blown away. And this scene was just the epitome of that feeling. I was so pumped to get in there and start working on it. And they're always upping the ante and always taking it to the next level. But this time, this scene is different. Because this time, Alex loses. And I think this is it is a major sacrifice. You see her carrying around the wounds of her mother that she lost, but her dad made her who she is. Her dad taught her dad groomed her, and I think, most importantly, he loved her. And this script was a gift and a gut punch all in one. I don't know. When you give me something like that, it really motivates me to kind of try to knock it out of the ballpark. I love playing Alex, and I have to say, it's definitely my favorite acting job I've ever had, hands down.
Yeah, I was really moved and surprised by this ending scene the first time I played it all those years ago, so I think there will be no further commentary down there, because that would be kind of anticlimactic, so I will just shut up and let the scene play.
Are you sure you have everything you need?
I think so. Dr. Kleiner gave us the Borealis coordinates. We'll keep the hailing frequency open on the chopper radio in case Judith tries to reach us again.
Good idea. She could well make another attempt.
Oh no. Dad! Gordon! Help! Dad!
Alex!
Dad! Oh. Get away!
Listen to me. Destroy that ship. Whatever it takes. Destroy it.
Don't! Dad, look out! No! Dad! Dad! I can't let go of him! Oh my God!
I love you, sweetheart. Close your eyes, honey.
I love you, Dad!
Don't look.
No! Oh my God, no! No! Gordon! No! Dad! Oh, God. Dad! Dad! Dad, please! Dad! Oh my God! No! No! Oh my God! Dad! No! Don't leave me!
And that was Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Yeah. What is it like more than 10 years now? About 10 years? No, probably more. Not sure. More than 10 years now since the first time I've seen it. Yeah, it was a great ending scene and a great setup for the next game, but it's sort of more bitter now when you think about how the next game may actually never come. But anyway, that's all for this episode. I will let the credits roll out, and besides that, see you in the next one. Bye.